Let's move on to our final men's national team topic, at least in terms of the player pool. And this is a report that was discovered by our colleague Josh Deming at JJD_TV from an exclusive interview with the reporter Yanni Abdelli with the outlet La Gazette du Fennec, where Mo Farsi, former CPLer, current Columbus crew member, just fresh off, a contract extension with the crew, he was asked about his international future, and he said, if my translation brain is on this early in the morning, I was born here, I was raised here, it is a nation I considered enormously. But to be honest, Algeria is my number one choice. It's the choice of my heart that I want to represent. It was difficult to choose. It took some time. So, Gareth Wheeler, Mo Farsi declares that he would love to represent Algeria over Canada. I think there'd be some CPL supporters that are disappointed with the development pathway, but at the same time, he's free to choose whoever the heck he wants. And clearly, his ties to Algeria reign through in this decision.
He sure is. Shout out to Josh Deming. He's got his finger on the pulse of what's going on here. I think that why there's more invested interest in Mo Farsi is because he's come through the Canadian Premier League. Really, a player that's represented Canada in futsal, a player who, like so many others in this country over time, got kind of lost in the system of Canadian soccer without there being a robust pathway for players like him to take that next step, just in terms of finding players like him and developing and cultivating and bringing him through. He's a real success story. And I think that I can speak on behalf of all of us. We really like the profile of the player as well. It translated well, taking a risk, going to MLS next, and now becoming an MLS Cup champion with the Columbus crew. Now, I might look at this a little bit different, although it's a disappointment that he's not going to be representing Canada. I don't think that this is an overwhelming loss for the program. There are going to be players who have ties to places where their families come from. Mo Farsi, I believe, has lived in Algeria before, and that's where he sees his international future being. I won't hold that against any other player when they make a decision like that. And Canada tries to court players with those dual citizenship, those dual opportunities all of the time. It's just the state of play in international football. This isn't an Owen Hargraves. This isn't a Jonathan de Guzman. Players for me that are like clear difference makers, like a cut above the rest. Mo Farsi is a very good player. Would he be in this Canada squad to face Trinidad and Tobago this weekend? Maybe. You can absolutely make the case that he's good enough, but it's also a position of strength. They're wide players. Buchanan, Davies, they're going to play there for the foreseeable future. So it might indicate a little bit of a pathway into the team as well. And I do think it's an area where Canada continues to produce really good players at those individual positions. So it's a loss. It's disappointing based upon his story, but I don't think that this is anything catastrophic or anything that we should be making a huge deal about.
Ollie Tad.
Yeah, I would just say, in a situation like this, firstly, it's not the first time we've seen this where a player has, options to choose from. They agree to an interview, they get put on the spot a little bit, and it's a decision that, you're following kind of not just your head, but your heart, right? In terms of where your parents come from, your family comes from, and all of those different things. I would just tell supporters, don't overreact to comments that are made like this. Things can change, minds can change, different opportunities are put in front of players. And there has been examples in the past of players who have maybe expressed a desire to play for the country of their parents or a different country, end up playing for Canada and play for them for a long time and play very well. So that could still be the case here with Mo Farsi. I would love to see him choose Canada. I would love to see a player who's come through the Canadian Premier League want to play for Canada and want to make that progression for the national team. But like you guys said, it's his right to decide. And certainly I'm not going to hold that against him, whatever he chooses.
Well, and Ollie, I remember a few years back as well where I played with Junior Hoyleth's brother growing up, Janelle.
Yeah.
Dangerous player, had nightmares about him. And we were saying, when is Junior Hoyleth going to get capped for Canada? And he was strongly considering Jamaica, where his parents come from.
Yeah.
And there was a time where he is definitely going to be a Yardie, a Jamaican. He's going to go play over there. And he got capped for Canada. And then if you look at his career and how he stepped up and played for Canada, big moments, and went to a World Cup, things like that happen. I'm not saying that's happening for Mo Farsi. All the things that Wheels have said and you have said are correct. But just in terms of representing a country, sometimes it's where your parents are from. Sometimes it's where you grew up and what you call home. But at the end of the day, it's up to the person.
Yeah, and you remember too, a lot of these athletes, and it's not just football specific, they always appreciate and respect everything their parents sacrificed for them, and that they wouldn't have a professional footballing career if not for their parents. So sometimes that is a way of nodding the incredible sacrifice that not just these level of athletes have needed from their support systems, but many athletes around the world in every sport. So Mo, whoever you choose, you know the CPL family will support you. Although if you do want to come play for Red, we won't hold that against you either.